Ooh,
Howdy, hey.
wow. I'm on the ball today.
You are on the
I'm
ball.
I'm on the ball today. Look, I even got the ticker.
You did. Look
The
at you.
correct ticker up just
Go.
before the show started.
And guess who else is on the ball today? Raymond in the chat straight away with a hey everyone. So hello Raymond, how you doing? Good to have you back in the chat room again.
Yes, and if you haven't checked out that show, we interviewed Raymond last week. So if you want to go over to YouTube and check out last week's show, you can do that. But I'm definitely on the ball. And you know what? I was thinking about this while I was watching our intro.
Mm.
What do you think of this idea? Instead of me playing music, and by the way, I will say that was better choice of music, I think, this week.
Oh yeah, it
And
was, yeah.
it's from Storyblocks Side by Side. So I went through all kinds of different types of music today just to see. But the problem is like the lot of the music they have, it's like the same music all the way through.
Yeah.
It's just like on repeat and stuff like that. But this is what I was thinking. And let me know if this is a good idea because I think it is. Instead of doing the music and having the thumbnail up,
Yeah.
why not we put clips of our investigations and I'll put them together and we'll show that for the 10 minutes.
I mean you could do that, that's not bad. I don't know if anyone's going to stick around and watch it though, but then why would you sit there and listen to the music as well? So it is a good idea. Might be worth
Because I
trying.
noticed, because I noticed when we go live, I noticed that there's people coming in and out and stuff like that. But that would be more enticing to stay, don't you think? I think it'd be
Absolutely.
great, especially with the UK trip. We can put clips together
Mm.
over the next several months. Like you just let me, I'll just take some clips from our investigations. I'll put them together for like 10 minutes, and people can watch that. I think it'd
That'd be
be
cool.
leading up to our releases of our videos. I think that'd be a great idea.
It's a pretty good idea. Actually, it's good little free promotion
Yeah,
for
definitely.
the upcoming seasons 4, 3, 4, and 2 of of both our respective platforms.
Me, 4 and 5.
Yeah, combined.
Now, for people that are in the
Yeah,
room, people have been waiting for my third season on Paraflix. That will be coming up in the beginning of July. I'm not sure what's going to come first, if the third season is going to come first or the documentary is going to come first. I'm not sure which one yet, but people will know that that documentary is going into the film festivals here in Canada and in the States. So that's going to be, from what Zach tells me, the documentary is coming together quite well, and it's looking really good. So we're definitely. Oh, let me do this. I meant to turn this on. I turned the. I've discovered as we've gone on doing the shows and stuff like that. When I have the second screen on,
mm.
when the intro's going, it lags.
Oh yeah, you've said before. Yeah.
So now I figured out. So I turn off the monitor, and well, it's a monitor slash TV, I guess. But yeah, so there are quite a few things coming up. Well, first of all, let me say this: we got a great guest today, and I will let people know. Unfortunately, AJ will not be here today. He's got some personal issues he has to take care of, but we will get him on the show later on down the road. So wishing him the best as always. He's a good friend. He's a colleague, and I want him to be on the show. So we'll get him on down the road. So, but we do have Robin today, the better half of the group, as I think Robin would say. So. No, but Robin's great, and so there are some things coming up that I want to talk about. Well, I'm not going to really talk about them. I'm just going to, mention them slightly, I guess you
Yeah.
can say. Um, so this Thursday, you're going to want to watch PD Region Paranormal, um, uh, uh, Paranormal Static on Thursdays. I can't recall the time. I think it might be 7 or 8. They are going to be releasing something, a video that you're going to want to watch, and it's really cool. Well, that was weird. So I have my phone open, right?
Yeah.
I have my phone open, and it was on the show for Parapost, so I can see people's comments that are coming through Parapost, and it just swiped. It just swiped right.
That's weird. You're
It
having a
just swiped right.
weird time over there.
Yeah, it just swiped right. I don't know. I was just sitting here and I watched it swipe to the right. So it went back to my timeline, my personal timeline. It's really, really well. We know what's going on, right? So we know what's going on here. But because the show that we were on yesterday, it was seen. So
Oh,
if
was
you
it?
haven't watched that show yesterday, Bald and Bonkers, me and Lex were on that show. If you want to go check that out, you can go check it out on their YouTube channel, or you can go check it out over on Parapost Network Central. The show is there, and you can watch it. There was a few weird things that happened during the show, and especially at the end, where Dakota went somewhere and we don't know where he went. He was there physically, but he went somewhere. And it's funny because we were talking a little bit about it yesterday, about that video on YouTube from the Parachills, when it was Dom and Rev and Brandon and Chris and weird things started happening. And I was watching it because Dakota sent it to me. And I was watching it. There was a lot of weird things that happened during that show. The whistling was really, really weird.
It was like I still remember it because like I got affected on it, and it was just like when it started going off, I didn't notice anything first. I didn't notice anything, and then someone in the chat said there's someone in the chat was saying like there's someone behind me.
Mm.
And I looked at the comment and carried on talking to who I was talking to. I can't remember what we were discussing at the time. We were talking about a specific case file, so we were talking about it, and then I I felt myself get scratched on the back of my neck, which out of nowhere. So that was really weird. I started getting really like burning on the back. So I went off camera to go and check that. And then when I was in the bathroom, I ended up coughing up blood. So I had to tell them that I wasn't going to come back on for a little while. So I messaged Dakota. So it was a strange thing. And I actually found out after that event that when I went back into the room and finished the show, so I think we called time on it earlier, if I remember. So I think we all just turned off. Um, Nadine, who was in the room with me, had also been scratched on her leg.
Yeah. There was also something else that I found really strange as well. There was like you could literally nobody was talking, but I had my headphones on and you could literally hear somebody having a conversation. And
Yeah,
it wasn't anybody in that room.
there was conversations over the headsets because I remember we called it out. Then there was whistling, and at one point I think you could hear someone laugh, and we weren't talking then either.
Yeah,
And
I
then
didn't
yeah,
watch. Obviously, I didn't watch the whole thing. It's 3 hours, but Dakota sent me where he said to start watching it from. So, and
yeah,
I did, and it was
it's
like
very
super, super, super weird.
yeah, it was incredibly strange because we only, if I remember correctly, the only reason we started noticing stuff happening was because Dakota was in like a cabin, if I remember. I haven't
Hmm.
seen it for a long time, and we kept seeing things in the room behind him, like something walking past the doorway. So we kept letting him know, and he had to keep going to and from because he was going to check it. And then yeah, but we were talking about a particular entity that we believe didn't want us talking about it, especially looking into it as deeply as we were, and we think that was its way of warning us to stay back
Something
and to
keeps
stop.
on playing with my phone. It keeps on going out. Keeps
It's
on
probably
swiping.
it's gonna be whatever's in your fucking wardrobe. I'm literally watching your cupboard door today because it was open yesterday.
Well, I saw a black thing go by me from this side over. Anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to mention was I want people to pay attention to June 1st. June 1st is going to be very, 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 very important day for a lot of us. Lex included, also Robin included. And there's going to be an announcement made on, like I said, June 1st. There will be something released and everybody's going to get to see it. It's going to be shared everywhere and everywhere. It's going to be shared everywhere. And so I want people to get ready for June 1st because there's something really, really, I'm not going to say big, I'm going to say special. There's something really special coming. And and we are looking forward to it. And Lex came on board this week because I asked him if he wanted to be a part of it, and he
You know
did.
that just let everyone know that's the first time in all these projects that Brian remembered to actually ask me. When he phoned me,
Oh,
we were
you
talking
know
on the
what?
phone, and he was
You
like,
know, it's
"I
funny.
keep
It's
meaning to do this, but
Yeah,
would you like
it's
to?"
funny. It's funny because the fact that after it starts, about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I go, shit. Why didn't I ask Lex? Oh my god!
Have you not?
So,
Have you noticed how I've magically snuck onto the parapost thing? By the way, whoever made that poster for you, where my name's on top of the parapost poster, so it says Brian Laverty, Legs Paranormal, and then parapost. And I'm like, I've got nothing to do with parapost. I'm just
oh,
on
you
it.
know who did that? You know who did that? That was Angelina from Bad to the Bone.
So I'm sat there
So,
like, all right, I'll take ghost credit. I'm not in it, but I will happily be on the poster. But
yeah. I asked myself that same question when
yeah,
I
it
first
was
saw
funny. It looks good on there, but I was just like,
Oh,
well,
you know what? She did an amazing job on that
it's a
thumbnail. That was
really cool.
awesome. And no, but seriously, June 1st, get ready. There's something going to be released. It's a special announcement, and it has something to do with that post I did a few weeks ago of 2023. So that's all I'm going to say. But it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to it starting. So okay, so is there anything that you wanted to mention or talk about or
I did
announce
just
or
want to say that when you put up your 2023 post, part of me was thinking that you just gave up on 2022. I thought you were just like celebrating New Year early. You're like, I'm done with this year. It's 2023. But no,
yeah,
I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to be a part of what's coming. And I think everyone, it's going to be really cool for everybody, not just us involved with it, but everyone who gets to be a part of it down the road. So I think it's a really cool thing. And I look forward to you sharing that with everybody.
yeah. And again, Paranormal Static on Thursday. There's going to be something released. Video is going to be released. It's Robert did an amazing job on it, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it's going to be released on his show. So when he first showed it to me, I go, "So when are you going to be showing this?" And he said, "On our show." I go, "So I have to wait 7 days?" So no, it's all good. But obviously, I've seen it and stuff like that. And but anyways, this guy, Mister Robin Haffern, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Is that right? Haffern? Is that right? I
I
think
need
it's
to see
right.
I need to see how it's spelled again.
H
That's an F.
A F
F.
F E R N.
So Haffern.
Haffern.
Yeah, you're saying
He.
Haffern.
Oh, there he goes. He just gave a thumbs up. Haffern. Haffern.
Well,
So everybody's been
the
mispronouncing it.
R's in the wrong place then. Maybe
Everybody's been
REN.
mispronouncing. Everybody's been saying Heffron paranormal, but
It's better than
It's Haffern.
it's better than how you used to say it. You were like, "Oh, we've got the guys from Haffern,
I
Haffern,
didn't say it
Paranormal,
like that.
Haffern."
Come on. That's a little bit of an exaggeration.
Is it Brian?
Um, no,
Is
but
it?
I met, I think I met Robin. I think it was last November, somewhere around there,
Hmm.
November, October, and he reached out to me because actually it might have been January. Actually, he reached out to me, especially when he found out I was going to be going to the UK because he wanted to hook up and do an investigation. Unfortunately, we just got so busy with all the investigations; it was just really tough. And when I was getting close to the end of and believe this or not, but when I got close to doing all the investigations, I was actually kind of a little tired of doing investigations.
I'm still tired of doing them. We haven't done one for ages now. I'm still tired.
Yeah, I haven't done. I'm getting that itch now. I'm getting the itch of wanting to go out, and I found out a few new places that I'm going to check out and film, and hopefully put up on either YouTube or Paraflix. So, so Robin is got a lot going on. He's got a lot going on now. He's going to have a lot more going on down the road. So, yeah. So he's got Heffern Paranormal. He's also got Talking with the Source. with AJ, and they have a great show. And actually, if you want, you can go to their YouTube channel. The links are below, and you can go check out the show that we were on a couple of weeks ago. So I
A lot
thought it
of
was
fun as
nice to
well.
turn it around and bring them on. So and that's why they're here. So let me introduce you, and most of you people know who this guy is. So no introduction necessary, I think. So, well, I guess I kind of did an introduction, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So let's bring him up, and here's Robin. There he is. There's the man.
Hello.
There's the man. He's always got his. You're on your phone, right? Are you on your phone? Uh-oh.
The connection.
Already frozen. Can you hear us, Robin? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
A little. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. There's a little bit of a delay there. So it's funny. Every time something goes wrong, you can always tell Lex is laughing because he goes like this. He does it every single time. How are you, Robin? How are things going?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
So it's true what I said earlier that you're going to get a lot busier soon.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So when is it when we actually met? Was it last year or was it in January time?
It was the end of last year.
Okay.
Your the Hunkophobia group was suggested to me by Facebook itself, really, and I joined it, and obviously
Dumb you. If you knew then what you know now, right? You might have reconsidered.
Yeah. I like when I join groups. It's one thing that I do is when I join groups, I like seeing who runs the group and introducing myself. You get a lot of these groups, and people they join the group and then they just put the odd post here and there and don't interact and stuff like that. I like when I join groups. I like finding out who's admin or who runs it and introducing myself and things like that. So that's when I reached out to me.
Look at that. Robert is pretty incredible with his videos. So you can go. You can start this, Lex. I'm going to show these comments. We don't do that very often, so I'm going to show some of the comments today. There we go.
I like how you say we. I have no control over this side.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But unfortunately, when I put up the comments, I cover our guest's face. So that's why I generally try not to put up the comments. There we go. So go ahead, Lex. You want to start, or you just want to sit there and do this?
I'm just contemplating. I'm trying to remember the questions because I don't have my document today. You'd think after 62 shows I'd have them memorized by now. But I actually know what the first question is.
Yeah, there you go.
Hang on. Yeah, can you just read me the first question that I usually ask?
What are you doing?
Oh, okay. Apparently, according to my legal team, they said the first question I usually ask is, how did you get into the paranormal there, Robin?
I wouldn't say end it from a pretty young age, but when I was a kid, I was always terrified of the dark. I had when I used to go to bed, I used to say to mom and dad, leave the light on and stuff like this. Never liked it. And there was an old lady lived up the street from me at the time, and she had died. And I remember clear as day, walking up the street one day to play football with mates, and I seen this old lady looking out the top window, and I thought, that can't be her. She's dead. At this point, I didn't know really anything about the paranormal. All I'd really watched was a couple of horror films, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. So I seen this lady, and
I knew that was going to happen.
Hung out with my mates and stuff.
Yeah, you froze there. Robin. We didn't hear the whole thing.
All right. What did we get to?
You had seen a couple of horror movies. It scared the crap out of you. Old woman was dead, but looking at you through the window.
Yeah. So I came back down later on, and I came into the house, and I remember saying to my mum, I've seen the lady up the street, and she's like, well, you haven't because she died last year. And I was like, well, I'm sure she was looking out the top window. My mum just sort of passed it off. She isn't into all this, by the way. So that was it, really. After that, there was nothing through really my whole teens and stuff like that, on really until Most Haunted aired over here. And I remember watching the first couple of shows of that and thinking, people are actually searching for this stuff now. And it came back into my head about that old lady again, and then I thought, well, I was obviously seeing things because everybody was obviously, like I say, was brushing it off. But it was really more or less, it must have been about 2007 when I was off work. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I was off work for 11 months. And this one day, I was standing in the kitchen cooking, and I got the dinner already, and I called the son down for his dinner. And as he was coming down the stairs, I looked out into the hall, and he came down the stairs and turned the corner, and beside the front door, there was a little girl standing. And I thought, well, I didn't call her down. Who's she? So I explained to her. I went into the missus and Julie, and I said to her, look, I've just seen something here. And I explained, I could see her clear as day, explained everything that there was. And she was like, right, well, I think you need to sort of look into this. And I was like, well, why? You know, why do you? Well, Julie's mum lived around the corner from us. She's the one that's on my team. And she had come round, and Julie had said to her about it. And she was like, oh, well, you need to look into this. And I'm like, will you all stop trying to tell me, you know, to look into this? You know, it wasn't really, I'm not saying I wasn't interested. I was, but it was like, you know, just leave well alone kind of thing. But as I was eating my dinner, I started getting this image of this little girl upstairs in our loft, and she was over in the corner, and it was as if, you know, if someone goes to hit you, you're like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, she was like that in the corner of the loft. And Julie happened to say to me, what's wrong with you? And I says, I can't get this image out of my head of this same little girl up in our loft. And she's like, right. So again, let's say our mum come round, and I was telling them, and her mum says, why don't we go up into the loft and see if we can see her? I was like, right, okay. It ain't going to happen, like, but I'll go anyway. But the three of us went up, and we were sitting there, and all of a sudden, this image came again of this little girl. She was downstairs in the main bedroom. And moving houses, I'm seeing her downstairs in the bedroom. So we were about to come down out of the loft, and we had some stuff there, and there was a little, my daughter at school for like World Book Day had this like bumblebee costume, and it was sitting on top of this box, and there was no draft, there was nothing, and all of a sudden this costume started shaking, and then it stopped, and her mum had said to me, that costume's moving. And I was like, well, it can't be because there's no draft up here. So we went back down, try and cut a long story short. They went downstairs, I went into the main bedroom on my own, and I sat there, and I turned all the lights off, no sound. I put Julie's phone on to record me, and I sat in this chair with my head down. The chair, by the way, was one that I found in the loft. I brought down with me, and I sat there, and later on, they watched it back and said that there was orbs everywhere around my head. But I sat there, and all of a sudden, I was gone. And I was walking around. Lex will know where I live. I live near Blackpool. Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, I was living in Blackpool. I was walking around Blackpool before it was even built up with this little girl. There was a man coming up with this cart he was pulling. He was selling cloth and stuff like this. And, you know, it was really, really weird seeing all this. And where our house was in like that little estate was all just fields, and there was one big farmhouse. And straight away, the little girl turned to me and said, 1906. I thought,
Mm.
right. Then she said, there's two names that are important here. One is Florence and one is Anne. So then, obviously, I walks around, has a look at things and whatever. Then she brought me back up to the house again, and all of a sudden, bang, I was back in the bedroom. So I went downstairs, told Julie this information. She searched it up online, and in that area in Blackpool, in 1906, a little girl was born called Florence Ann B.
Sorry, Robin. There's Raymond's just you're killing me, mate. You absolutely
You saw the Raymond. Raymond always has the funny comments, and he's the Johnny Depp snicker of Lex doing the little like this little snicker thing that he does and stuff like that.
I just think, as soon as I saw it say objection here, I can hear it in my like. Because I watch the trial, I'm watching it live all the time, so I can just hear it, and it just broke. Raymond, behave, please. This is a really interesting story I'm being told. And,
yeah, we don't get to we talk to Robin, but we don't get to hear this side of him, and it's really quite interesting on what you experienced, and this is one of the reasons, and I always say this is one of the reasons why we ask this question, because it's always really, really interesting to hear somebody's origin story on how they got into the paranormal. So let me ask you this. So I know you said it wasn't until later on that you got into it, but were you going out on your own? Did you want to put a group together? What was the start of Haffern Paranormal?
Yeah, well, really, it was shortly after that, because the mother-in-law had said to me when I told them all this, and they got the information online and it all matched up, they were like, "You need to start doing this." And a few months later, I had some counselling and stuff for my depression, and I started coming out the other side of it. And it was like I felt like I was being rewarded for not for beating it, but for sort of putting it to the side and being able to carry on, kind of thing. So she said to me, you really want to start doing this, because you've just got something really bang on there, and you've seen something with your own eyes. So she sort of pushed me towards it. She was like, honestly, start doing this. So we started. Me and the mother-in-law started going out around a few places around the area that we knew, and I started, picking things. I'll not say I'm a medium. I would say I'm sensitive. But I started picking up on a few things, and then later on, she would have, done a bit of research, whatever, and then phoned me and went, "Oh, here, that's absolutely spot on what you've got," and whatever. Yeah. And then our eldest son, he says, "Oh, can I start going out with you?" And I was like, "If you want, yeah." So he started going out as well. So our group is really a small group. It's only the three of us. Sometimes I take the odd person, or I'll meet up with another group that want to do a collaboration and stuff like that. But mainly, it's just us three.
So let me ask you this then. So getting into you guys are going out, or the people in your group are going out and investigating. So what was your latest investigation, or do you even have an investigation coming up soon?
I don't know about soon. I'm obviously doing a lot of work with yourself and on our own podcast and stuff. I keep getting asked this question by a lot of people on Facebook, when are you next out again? But I don't know, and you know the reason why I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously,
I just want to say this, and I know I told you over Messenger, but I'm going to tell you now. You have my back, or I have your back, and that if you ever need anything, that you just need to reach out and let me know, and I can do what I can for you.
That's no problem. Okay.
I'm thinking about your wife, and she's in my thoughts, she's in my prayers. We won't get into that too deep, because it's your personal.
I mean, I don't mind. At the end of the day, if people if people need to know and need to know why there's no videos and stuff going up lately apart from the podcast, it doesn't really bother me. You know, at the end of the day, she's been diagnosed now for the third time with breast cancer, and this time it's not curable. It's treatable, but it's not curable. So she's going to be on chemo and stuff for the rest of her life, really. So it's only as and when she starts chemo. Next Friday is the first one of this bout. So hopefully, if it doesn't affect her as much as the last ones did and stuff like that, then I can start getting out the odd time. But I don't like going and leaving her. You know what I mean? So
no, I understand that. I understand that. But again, you know, I have your back, and if you ever need anything, you just need to reach out. Don't hesitate. And even if it's just to talk, to chat, you know, and I know it's a little more difficult with me being on the other side of the pond, but you know, I'm there for you, and we're thinking about your wife, and you know, everybody in Parapo Central, and everybody that knows you, I'm sure has your back as well. And you definitely have a really, really good support system if you need to turn to somebody for sure. So
absolutely, thank you.
Go ahead, Lex.
No worries. So, I want to cast your mind back a little bit, and if you can tell us something about your last time you went out, as we don't have one going forward for now.
Oh, the last time I went out. God, I tell you, it's been that long. I can't even remember when the last time I went out. It would have been. It was an abandoned pub in Greater Manchester, let's say. I don't want to give the location out, but obviously, Lex, if you're ever up this way, I'll take you to it. It was a pub. I actually did two in the one night. There was two pubs. The second one was it looked like brand new from the outside, and it was abandoned. I went round the back, and there was like a patio door. And I just don't what I usually do. I just thought, I'll try the handle, and the door opened. I went in, and literally everything was left inside. And it was just, it was phenomenal to see everybody's belongings. The people who obviously had run the pub had lived there as well, because it was living quarters upstairs, and even all their belongings and everything was all just left there. But they had been in there it must have been for a couple of years. And it was quite interesting to see some of the floors upstairs had fallen through and stuff like that. So you had to watch where you were going, but it was a little active. The one before it was better, so it was.
Did you know why it was left abandoned and why they left all their stuff there, or was that still?
No, I didn't. I didn't want to go because obviously I was filming. I didn't want to go hooking through too much stuff. Normally, if there's letters or whatever, and they're lying in full view, and if there's a letter to say the people haven't paid their mortgage or whatever it could be, then normally I'll have a quick look and think, right, and I'll be able to say to the viewers, well, obviously people have done a moonlight or whatever they've done and left their stuff, but there was nothing really lying about like that.
Interesting. You always wonder when you walk into a place like that and all their stuff is laying around on what's really happened there, what's the real story on why just somebody picks up and leaves their whole life behind like that. It makes me curious. And
yeah, there's loads of stuff like that over here. There are absolutely loads of it. I've done quite a few like that. And you walk in and there's, I've done a little house in Wales, and I went in and there was still dishes sitting on the side and, washing up like with all beside them as if people were going to do their washing, and then literally just walked out of the house. It's madness sometimes what you see.
Yeah. I mean, there's a village in down Bournemouth way, I think it is. Which, if you haven't been there, I would like to try and talk to them to organise a paranormal investigation there. But it's a small little village, like ridiculously small village, and it was evacuated for the war because the hillside bears down on the waterfront, so it was taken over by the military. So everyone left, but no one ever came back. So the house, there's a couple of buildings aren't there anymore, but some of the school buildings still standing with everyone's stuff still inside it. The church is still standing. and that's also very interesting because we know why they left. So I want to go there and see if there's anyone still there. But it is a really cool thing to see when you get there, because abandoned buildings, for me, they're very tedious for the most point, because they're all when you're inside an abandoned building, they all look the same. They're all heavily graffitied and damaged. That's about it. So when you find a place that's still got some remnants of life still knocking about in there, it's actually pretty unique, and I think it's what makes the places a bit better.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about talking with the source. How did that? I'm kind of curious, how that got started, because obviously AJ's over here in the States and you're in the UK. So how did you guys, like, it's it's the same for me and Lex. Like, I'm in Canada, he's in the UK. So how did you guys connect, and how did the whole talk show get started?
Well, I was watching a live from one of the groups over here who I've been out investigating with before, and it was really strange because obviously, they were doing a live investigation on YouTube, and there was people, making comments, and everybody was commenting, and all of a sudden this comment come on, and it said from this guy called AJ Capasso, and I thought it was for some reason that name sort of was like jumped out at me out of the screen. So I did what I usually do. I thought, right, so I quickly came off that live. I went on Facebook, typed in AJ Capasso, seen the same profile picture, thought, I'll add this guy as a friend. And then I seen on it was Coventry Circle Paranormal. So I went on YouTube and I subscribed to them. And I don't know at what time, must have been a couple of days or a week went by. And I think I sent him a message, if I'm trying to remember correctly, and there was no reply. And then a few days later, there was a, hi there, or whatever it was, back from him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we sort of look at talking, and he was like, I've got this podcast, me and my best mate, and would like to have you on it. I was like, right, okay, I've never done a podcast in my life before, but yeah, I'll come on. I can talk a leg of a stool, So then,
did you get a word in edgewise in that show?
It must have been about a week before I was due to go on it. And I was sitting here, I'll never forget, it was a Sunday night. I was sitting in the house with Julie, watching TV, and all of a sudden, a messenger call came up, and I looked at my phone and it said, AJ Capasso. And I looked at Julie, and she looked at me and she was like, who's that? And I was like, it's this guy AJ from America. I wonder what he's phoning me for. I'm not due to be on a podcast till next week. So I answered the call, and obviously he was just giving me a call to introduce himself and get to know each other before I went on the podcast. But straight away, something just clicked with the two of us.
Yeah.
And I went on, I did the podcast, I stayed in touch with him, and within a week or two, he was like, right, I want you to come on and co-host it. And it just went from there, really.
That's cool. Yeah. While you were talking, while you were saying your story, I was thinking about how I met AJ, and it's funny. Well, it's funny, but it's not funny at the same time. The reason is because that whole Robert Riggy thing was going around.
Yeah.
And he was on your show.
He was.
I think he was on your show, and correct me if I'm wrong, were you not doing like a little bit of a series with him? Like it was going to be like 2 or 3 episodes?
We were due to, obviously, I don't really want to go into too much to it.
No, that's okay.
You know the whole story behind it.
Yeah.
He duped a hell of a lot of people. And we'll hold our hands up, us included. And because he had the whole thing about the Ted Bundy and the Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like this, and he was obviously claiming that he had all the letters from them. And we actually said, which I'm glad we did, actually said, well, we'd love to have you on again and you can show these letters. And he was like, yeah, no problem, I'll do that. Which obviously I would have thought if he had said, oh, well, I can't, I haven't, I would have thought, oh, well, he's obviously telling lies. But the fact that he was willing to come on and show them, it sort of made us believe even more. And we were sucked in straight from the start. And we were going to we'd talk between ourselves, me and AJ. We were going to try and get him on and then have like an episode all about Ted Bundy and the letter from him. And then I said to AJ, a week after that or 2 weeks after that, we could do one on Jeffrey Dahmer. He's got a letter from him as well. And, for any of these serial killers that he has supposedly spoken to, then we could do an episode on it. Because it was, to me, it actually felt like
it was
we hit gold here.
Yeah, it was definitely he had everybody going, and it's funny. So after that, after I found out that he was on your show a couple of times, I actually reached out to AJ.
Yeah.
And I can't recall how I did it. I think I did it through Messenger, or I think he had his number up on his page or something along that lines. I got his number. So I text him and he texted me back, and the text wasn't, how do I say? The text wasn't so friendly because he was basically saying, okay, well, you're full of crap, and we've had him on the show, and all stuff like that. So then I started sending him pictures of his arrest, because you can see his pictures online. Yeah. And then when he saw that, he goes, well, okay, well, this guy can't be working for the FBI if he's been arrested like 5 times. So, and one of the arrests was like for major fraud. And so that's how me and AJ got started talking. And then when I decided to do the central page, I reached out to him and asked him if he wanted to come on to, or was it me, or was it Taryn? I can't recall if it was, I can't recall who it was. I think it was, we started talking to him and he started talking back, and we somehow got him to come on the central podcast. And ever since then, it's been great. It's been great having you guys on the podcast. You guys have an amazing show, and I love
really nice
listening.
Guys.
Yeah, I love listening to AJ because he's got so much to say, and he's always so. One thing I've noticed about AJ, he's always so. How do I say this? He's very energetic, and it's like he's full of life, and he's happy to talk to anyone. Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed about AJ right away. But I will say the first initial text from him wasn't so pleasant. Because
he said to me, he said, do you know that show we did with Robert last week? I said, yeah, because in the meantime, Robert had been messaging me every day and whatever. And he's like, some dude come on there called Brian was saying to me that this guy wasn't what he was supposed to be. And I was like, right, okay. He's like, I'm gonna find out what's going on here. And I was like, right, okay. I thought myself, well, obviously he's messaging you and you're dealing with it, so basically just let me know what the outcome is.
Yeah. So what regarding your talk show, Talking with the Source, and I will let everybody know, if you want to follow Robin, you want to follow AJ, their links are below in the description. You can go check over on YouTube, because they do have a YouTube channel called Talking with the Source, and all their links are below. So go over and give these guys a follow. AJ's great, Robin's great, and since I've known them, they've just become really, really, really super good friends, and they're great people. So just about your show, was the whole premise for your show, is it just interviewing people in the paranormal field, or are you guys open to interview different things under the umbrella of the paranormal, like UFOs or those kind of things? Or are you just strictly staying with the paranormal, or you go outside the box there?
No, we'll go anywhere, really. It's kind of my fault, really, and AJ will tell you the same, because he wasn't really taking it seriously to start with. It was his little podcast that him and his mate John were running at the time when I first came in, and but when he had said when he had had me on it, and then he had said to me, right, I want you as a co-host. I said I was obviously grateful for it, and I was like, right, well, I need to start pulling my weight here because I can't just come in and expect to just sit in and ask people questions and stuff, and then say, right, who have we got next week? So I said to AJ, well, I might be able to get a couple of people from over here, but once I started messaging one, I started messaging loads, and I haven't had a no yet, and I've made it go serious. AJ will tell you that because he's like he laughs at me and he goes, "Damn you!" He says, "I wasn't planning on taking it this seriously." He says, "And now we're booked up to the end of August." But
oh, really?
I'll hear from anybody.
Oh, wow. You know what? I find
paranormal.
Yeah, I find that generally most people in this field are obviously the bigger people, like the people on TV. It's a little more harder to get to them, but I find generally most people in this field are more than willing to come on your show. You give them some time and you give them a date, and they're usually there. And I just find most people are very, very willing to come on these type of podcasts, and because I don't think in all this time in the last year that I've been doing this with Lex that I've reached out to somebody and somebody said no.
Yeah, that's
I've
one
had
thing.
somebody. Yeah, I've had somebody had to reschedule, but I've never had anybody say no.
Yeah, I've had the same. I've had a couple of people having to reschedule, or I've had to reschedule a couple of people. But honestly, even down to the likes of when we had Paddy Negri on, I said to AJ, I said, she ain't turning up. I know, it's somebody else with making it as her. I says, she ain't turning up. And even that very day she was coming on and she was emailing me and she was saying, right, I sent her the link and she was like, right, what time are we coming on? And I thought, she ain't coming on. And then AJ goes, oh, there's someone in the, obviously we were on just before it started. He's like, oh, someone's come into the back room now. And then obviously she popped up on the screen that was like, there's something not right here because, nobody's saying no to us. And it's like I expected to get some people, that's saying, that's not our kind of thing, or, well, we don't really know who you are, or, there's nothing like that.
Nothing. It's been, and that's one thing I love about this industry is people are so willing to, talk to you, come forward, and if you've got a podcast, if you want to do a video, or if they want to help you with a video, there's somebody always there to help you, and that's one thing I do love about this.
Absolutely.
This industry. Obviously, there's some other things that I don't like about this industry, but we won't get into those because this is a positive show. Right,
this is the thing that there's a severe lack of in this field at the minute is positivity.
Yeah.
And I know we have it in our group, with me and AJ, and then with you guys and stuff like that. But in general, there's a lot of negativity going about, and it's it's not good.
Yeah. So go ahead, Lex. Go ahead. You haven't asked a question in a bit, so go ahead. I'm not giving you permission. I'm just telling you to go ahead. It's just like off the handle. Go ahead.
You give me permission.
I know.
Yeah, but I do think you're right. There's a good and bad side to every industry. Sometimes it's just a bit annoying. Sometimes I tune myself out of it for a couple of days. That way I don't have to read loads of stupid stuff. But all in all, I think we've got the best industry on the platform because it's more, this is incredibly fun. It's scientific, and we get to try and explain the unexplained, which is awesome. But I want to bring you back into the investigation side of things and get your idea on what is your favorite piece of equipment you'd use on an investigation.
I prefer I like the spirit box. I think there's nothing better than trying to get a response. Everybody has a K2 meter. You know what I mean? Everybody has, an EVP, which obviously, don't get me wrong, EVPs are fantastic, but there's nothing better than having a really decent setup for a spirit box and asking the questions and getting a response from them, and then obviously trying to explain to people that this frequency is scanning backwards, so these words shouldn't be coming out as clear as they are. Or the odd time, I remember one time, I think it was in Cornwall, and I asked a question, and it came up in the box, and the spirit said, "Fuck you," and I was like, "Well, hold on a minute. If it's a radio frequency, they're not allowed to swear on radio." So, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. But you try to explain to these people that that when that kind of thing comes through, I think that's phenomenal. Or when you get an answer to a question that's relevant. If I ask a question to a certain person who I believe is in that property that's passed, and they give me a relevant answer, how could that relevant answer they give me just all of a sudden be playing on a radio station?
Yeah, and I find the same thing when names come across as well, especially if you ask your name, or if, like, for example, the videos that we've been sharing on the podcast, me and Lex, of the when we're standing outside the chapel or the Victorian chapel, and it says Lex, hi Lex, and hi Nando, or actually it didn't say hi Nando, it just said Nando, and obviously Nando and Lex are not very popular names and not something that you would hear over the radio, I
especially
think.
in the UK, because
Yeah.
as well, my name is very Americanized. So obviously my name's Alex,
Yeah.
and I didn't like the way that Alex sounded when I called myself Alex Paranormal, so I took the A off and called it Lex Paranormal, so it's a bit more fluent. But I found that it's usually in America that people are called Lex. It's not a name you get over in the UK because no one uses
Yeah.
it. So
Definitely
if that
not.
name's coming over the radio, like, that's just weird as itself because you don't use it
It
here.
is.
So it is weird. I mean, is there a chance that the radio could be saying it? Yes, but the chances become extremely slim when it says it when I ask it to say it, which is my
Exactly.
because people always say that stuff to us. We've had someone come on here before, a great guy, but a huge skeptic, and he said that it's just a broken radio. You're just using it to find a frequency, and the radio stations are saying stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's a good argument. But when I say what color shirt am I wearing, and the radio says green, and I'm wearing green, how could you refute that as evidence? Because
Exactly.
slim pickings that color is going to come out, let alone be the right color from a radio, is insane. So I'm very much with you on the spirit box being one of the best pieces you could use.
Yeah, and
It is.
it's funny.
It's just getting the right one.
Yeah, and you're right. And what I found really interesting when I was over there, and you both know that I love using my SB7. And what I found really interesting while I was there, I think during that whole time I was doing those investigations, we picked up maybe twice, maybe 3 times a radio station while I was there. We hardly, I never picked it, which is surprising because when you're over here in North America or Canada, even in the States, because I've been in the States, when I was in the States a month ago, I was picking up radio like no tomorrow. But when I was there, I was getting nothing. And it just, it baffled me. And I
it
think
works
that
underground. I think that's another important thing. We did it we got responses on it when we were underground at the fort.
for
There is
Widley,
there is no radio stations underground, so the idea of
Exactly.
just radio playing is not good enough for me.
Unfortunately, we're all still going to get the skeptics out there who don't believe it and who still try to pull it apart. But it's like Lex said about colours and stuff like that. I was in a house not far from me that was abandoned. Obviously, now it's been cleared, but this was when everything was left in it. And I had the box on, and I lifted a plate, and I was like, "Can you tell me what this is?" And straight away, plate. And there was a bottle of wine. I put my hand on it. What have I got my hand on? Wine. And then my son, he zipped his coat up. He had a blue T-shirt on, and he zipped his coat up, and he says, "Right, if you're definitely here, then can you tell me what colour of T-shirt I'm wearing?" and not even a pause, blue. And he put his zip in and went, "They are blue T-shirt." Again, them words are regular words that could be used on radio, but at that exact time you ask a question.
Yeah, it's like when I go to the abandoned church, I asked it to say my name. I didn't even say my name. I asked it
Yeah,
to say my name, and it said Brian 3 times. So
yeah,
it's stuff like that where, obviously I've been there a number of times, so I knew who I was. I think that was my 5th time there. So I think I'm pretty sure it knew who I was because it says my name every time I go there on the spirit box.
Yeah.
So yeah, the spirit box is great. There's no denying. And like, there's one video I did at the streaming tunnel, and it's about an hour and a half away from here. And I was asking a question. I asked a simple question: "Can you help us find it?" And the response back was, "You'll never find it." So you're telling me that was said on the radio the exact time I said that? Come on.
Yeah, like
exactly.
the coincidence alone would be too short.
Yeah. So obviously you've done a lot of investigations. So what has been one of your favorite investigations that you've done, and why?
One of my favourite was Denby Asylum in Wales. I went there 4 different times. It's massive. I mean, I think, have you been, Lex?
No, not yet. No.
It's absolutely massive, and if you can, avoid security, you're fine.
As paranormal investigators, we're avoiding a lot of security.
Yeah, well, I've been there 4 times, and 4 times I've managed to avoid them. So, but no, it's phenomenally massive, and there's a lot of stuff left in there. There's a lot of stuff obviously went on in there when it was going. A lot of people have died in there, and it's just the energy when you go there. It's just it's a totally different feeling. It's one of these ones. It's not like dread, or it's not even evil. It's just like when you go in, there's like a heaviness, and if you're really sensitive, you can nearly see or feel people walking past you all the time, and it's just there's a lot of stuff, a lot of history with that place, and it just I went there. I was only had the idea of going once, and I went the first time, and I spent about 2 hours in there, and I never even got around the whole place. So I decided to go back a second time to sort of finish it off, but it was like it kept calling me. It was like
It's like a bridge that's about 25 minutes from me. Like, I'm thinking about this bridge all the time. Like, it's always in the back of my mind. And like, I got to go back. I've been there like 6 times. I got to go back. Something's pulling me back there. Now, let me ask you that you said, like, when you're in there, when you're standing in there, like, it feels like they're going right by you. Do you think there's a possibility that they think they're still there? Like, the hospital's still ongoing, you're still working, or they're working, or I always wonder this. Like, I know people have spoken about it before, that if you go into a place and it's abandoned, but they still think it's how do I explain, like, it's still open, it's still, they're still working, they're still doing their job, even though it's abandoned, they passed away, and maybe not knowing that they've passed. Do you think that's happening there?
That's a tough one, because with the state that Denby's in, I mean, it's been abandoned now for over 20 years, and the amount of people that have been through there, and it's obviously it's fallen down in parts because of just wear and tear, being left empty, and then obviously the people do go in and vandalize and stuff like that, but you think to yourself when you're walking through it, why on earth would you even stay here with the state that it's in? Do you know what I mean? So for there to be as much energy and spirit as I believe, anyway, that there is still in there, I'm thinking to myself that they must be seeing this as still a fully functioning hospital, or else why would you be here? On the other hand, I was at a house one time, and there was a spirit of a lady in there, and she was so strong, I could practically see her and hear her, and she was saying to me, look at the state of this place. Look at this. It wasn't like this when I was alive.
Interesting.
So I believe that there's two sides to that coin, but if spirits are seeing it as it is now, if people have been in and trashed it, then why would they still be there? You know what I mean?
I
To
do.
me, it would have to be like it was back in their day kind of thing.
So I
Yeah.
kind of find that they're there because they don't have a choice to be. I don't think it works like that. I don't think you get to pick and choose where you're going to go. I think if you die somewhere, you're stuck there. Unless you die outside, I think that's the only thing that makes a difference. If you die in a house, then you're pretty much contained to it. But I do see a little bit of it because I have this belief system of echoes or imprinting, where the haunting you're seeing is just an echo of someone's life, so they're not physically there, but the visual imprint or the haunting imprint is there, so the energy imprint. So I think if you can communicate with that, then maybe that's where you're seeing responses from people that think it's still active, like a hospital. They think they're still a hospital because technically the imprint is still in hospital. Whereas if you have a conscious haunting, which is something that knows it's dead and it's just here, I think that's where the two differences are. For me personally, that's my theory anyways. I think you have a sentient conscious haunting. So things that know they're in the now and it's not the same as it was and they're just stuck there. And then you have the imprinted haunting, which is just the remnants of something that was there before. We could still probably communicate with it, but they just don't know what's going on. I think that it's just the same day on rewind, repeat.
Yeah.
What I'm curious
as far as
about,
I go.
and I believe your theory, Lex. But what? Let me see if I can try to explain what I'm thinking right now. So, what makes this spirit the residual and this spirit the intelligent? Why is there like this is these are questions I always have. Like, why is this one intelligent and they're standing right beside it's not? Why is there always such a big difference between the two?
I have a theory on that too.
Okay, good. I'd like to hear that.
So it's a bit. I might have to do like an actual video of it because it's quite complicated the way I think about it. I think it happens to be circumstance. When people have the term "at peace" and they move on, I don't think that happens. I think anyone that's at peace, I think that's where you're getting the imprint. That's why they're not physically there anymore, but the impression of them is still here. But they're not intelligent, responsive to us at all. You're just hearing things that they've probably said at that time. So I think that's where that comes in. I think anyone that they either don't know they're dead, so they're stuck. I think that's another conscious one. They're aware that something's happening, but they don't know what it is. I think victims of violence are very, very conscious of very well trapped. So I think they want to see justice for themselves, and they never get it. So they're just stuck wandering around, and I think that helps. So to make it very simple, I think the circumstance of the death is what separates the two. I think
I think so too.
The only ones that kind of break that claim for me are imprints of battlefields. I don't see how soldiers are at peace if they've been killed, but then there is that thing where it's they go into war and don't expect to come home, so maybe there is an inner peace and that's why they're imprinted, rather than conscious soldier hauntings where. So I think that probably plays a huge part, and I think if you're killed by somebody, you come back and you are conscious because you want to see the justice. You don't accept it, and if you don't ever see that justice, I think you're stuck here.
And it'd be the same for somebody that did the killing. And usually those people or those spirits are usually the nasty ones that Yeah, so there's I'm sure there's a crap load of different theories on
Mhm.
why one is different from the other. It's just always fascinates me, and it's one of those questions which maybe one day I'll understand when I do pass on. And and then I'm going to come back and haunt people. There's a few people I'm going to haunt.
I've got a
So
list already.
I think we
I'm
all have a list.
I'm
I was actually talking to someone the other day, just quickly, and they actually come up with a theory to me that I thought sounded pretty good as well. Was that, well, obviously when someone passes, right, and like say someone's mother has passed, and they'll say, oh, my mother's in heaven and stuff like that. I don't think. Well, this guy should have said I was speaking to. He doesn't think that anybody's in heaven yet, apart from like small kids, babies, or ones like that who are either stillborn or who are born and then have problems. But he doesn't believe that anybody's in heaven yet. He believes that they're all waiting, like not like a massive waiting room, but they're all
Yeah.
waiting around
Yeah.
for when the second coming of Christ is. And when that happens, then the gates open and all the souls go through. That's what he. I'm not saying that's right, or not saying that's what I believe, but it sounded fair, to be honest, when he said it.
It's definitely a good way of looking at it, I think. But once you start bringing in heaven, hell, and stuff like that, you start treading on people's beliefs. So I tend to keep that out of my conversations. In
Yeah,
terms of,
Yeah.
no
but
one who knows
regardless
what's
of if you
going
call it heaven or whatever you call it, wherever this paradise is
on.
that we're supposed to go to, he just said that he doesn't actually believe that basically it is open yet. He believes that all these souls are hanging around waiting, and when the second coming happens,
It's an interesting
then
theory.
that's when it'll open.
It's actually a really, really cool theory.
It is a cool one. It's definitely one I've not
Yeah.
heard before, so that's good.
Yeah, that's
But
definitely interesting.
I think that's the beauty of this industry, because none of us will know what happens next until we eventually kick the bucket. So
Do you even think
have I said something interesting then?
you did? You did. That was cool. So then my thought is from there, when people do pass away and come back to life, they always say that they either see the light or they see like a paradise, or even I wonder if there's a separation with that as well, because some people say they see a light, some people say they see like a paradise, and some people say they're looking at themselves like
Yeah,
below, dead. So I wonder if there's even a kind of a separation in there as well.
well,
And
don't
then
forget the other one.
from there where you're going,
Yeah,
you
don't forget
know.
there is
So
the other category where they don't see nothing at all,
yeah,
where
true.
it's just black. So
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
And then
there is.
there is the one as well where people will say that they meet their loved ones and they say to them it's not your time yet and send them back. So like I say,
Yeah.
I think it would take us to experience something like that, to actually be able to comment. I know it has happened to AJ, and he's told me about when it happened to him. But thankfully, it's never happened to me yet. But if it had, then I'd be able to sit here and say to you, right? Well, this is what I've seen. I'm not saying this is how it is, but
Yeah,
this is what I've
it,
seen.
it does leave the door open for a small debate, which I have with people, which is if we
I
were
have
to
one too.
if we breed out the next generation of human beings and we never ever tell them that something happens after you die, they never see it in an ideal world. They never see this information, they never hear it, whatever. Anyone that has a near-death experience, what are the chances people are going to come back and still say the same thing, or is it just going to be nothing? Because culturally, these things are explained. It's more people on the West that see the light or see their family, compared to people that see it on the East, where they don't see anything at all. So I think a lot of it could be just your brain being indoctrinated into knowing that this is what you want to see, and when you
And
come
that's what I
back,
Yeah,
was.
this is what
Yeah.
you say. So it does open that debate, because it is the same with religion, that people are you're lucky to be born under the right God. So depending on what your belief is, the view changes all across the world. I think that's what makes it very complicated. So it is going to be a very personal. The only way we get the answer is when it happens to us, and I think that's the beauty of this industry, because we're never ever going to know the answer, because we know the answer to are ghosts real. Us three in this room believe they are. So to us, we've answered the first question, that there is something afterwards. But to find out the nitty gritty of it, unfortunately, the unfair thing is we have to wait until it's our turn. And as I said, to kick the bucket and we experience it for ourselves. So there's a lot of factors at play in terms of what people have said. I think it's just a very personal, we have to wait and see kind of thing, which is what I like about it anyway.
Now,
Yeah.
isn't there some kind? I believe there is some kind of truth to this, and I'm sure it's been scientifically proven. But they actually say unless. What's that?
I'm just talking to the fact checkers. Can we get a fact check
Yeah, of
statement
course.
on this, please?
So from what I understand, and I've heard doctors say this in the past, that unless it's a brain injury, if you've died of something else, it takes around approximately 7 minutes for your brain to die as well.
Yeah.
So is there
it's 7 or
something
8
going
minutes, I
on
think,
in
yeah.
your brain that's, like you said, Lex, that your belief system is that you're going to see that light. So your brain, once the rest is gone and your brain is still active, that's what it's telling you. That's what it's showing you.
Yeah, because this is where the theory is that I think a very popular belief, I think globally, is people say you see your life flash before your eyes.
Yes.
And I think that's how I think that phrase came into public knowledge really in schools, because that's when especially when I was in school, this is what we were talking about, some philosophy shit, and we were like, well, how do we know that what we're doing now isn't us reliving the 7 minutes and we're already gone? So I think this is where they use that. This is a very important point of your brain is still active. I think it's 7 to 8 minutes after we die, and that's where you start thinking your brain is just regurgitating information to you to get you through it, I think. So it's very possible that, again, that could be explained in the what people are seeing before they're actually off for good.
Yeah,
Which is a shame,
yeah.
unless someone dies for like an hour, because that's happened. When people have said, "Oh, I was gone," they were on the operating table dead for an hour, and then they came back, and then they've said something. I'm like, "But your brain was not working for an hour." So there must be some cool stuff there.
Yeah, what Raymond said here is true, or what we're basically saying. So,
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna ask the next question, and I'm gonna flip this question around a little bit. I'm gonna make it different.
Oh, getting spicy.
Because normally we say the scariest place you've investigated, or something along that lines. I want to find out this because I'm thinking about the show yesterday in Bald and Bonkers, and we had some funny moments. So I'd like you if you can tell us a funny moment that's happened to you on an investigation, if you have any.
Yeah, if you're as clumsy as Brian,
Yeah.
you go face first down hillsides.
Well, there's two. There's one my mother-in-law won't thank me for if she's watching. Where when we were coming out of the place, there was a grass hill that we had to. When we first went in, we had to go through a hole in the fence and down this grass hill and into the building, and then come out. We had to go back up, and we almost got to the top, and she went straight back down to the bottom again. But no, the funniest one would have been. It was a pub / hotel in Bolton, and it was all closed up and stuff. And I'd had a look at it a few months before, and there was no way in. And we were going to another location a few months later, and we were driving past, and I said to the mother-in-law, "Well, stop here for a minute, and I'll go and check and see if it's open, and then we can do two at once." So my middle daughter, she's what we call urban explorer. So whenever I go out paranormal investigating, she goes with me as well, but she'll go off on her own, do her own little video, take pictures of decay and stuff like this, and she doesn't get involved in the paranormal really. But so me and her went, and went round the side of this pub, and jumped over this fence, dropped down into this bunch of trees, and walked out into the car park area. And I was about to walk towards this pub, and she pulled me by the arm and she's like, "There's a security hut there." And I looked over and there was a light on. So I thought, right, well, I'll go and speak to the security guard then. All he's got to do is say yes or no. So I goes in and I knocks the door and he came out and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I just want to find out if it's okay to have a look around here." Told him what I was doing. He was like, "Yeah, that's fine." I says, "Well, are we okay to actually go into the building or are we going to just walk around the outside?" And he says, "No." He says, "You can go in." He says, it's quite damaged in there." He says, "But the floors are mainly all right." And he even said to me, "Check out the basement. It's really freaky down there." And I said, "Right, okay." And he was like, "What? Are you just taking pictures?" I said, "No, I'm doing a video as well." "Oh, right, no problem." He says, "Away you go." I says, "Where's the open door?" And he pointed it out to me. So thought nothing of it. Went up in there, got everything ready, done a video about 25 minutes, whatever it was long. Came back out and I said to my daughter Ellie, I said, "Look, I'm going to go and thank this guy for letting us in." So he goes back down to the security hut, knocks the door, the guy come out again, and it says to him, "Right, no problem, I'm finished now, I'm heading, thanks for letting me in." He shook my hand and he said, "Yeah, that's no problem, but I phoned the police." And I was like, "Right, well, why did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, it didn't really add up that you were wanting to go in there and do a video for paranormal. So I phoned my boss and told him, and he basically said, well, why were you in there phoning the police?" So I phoned the police. I was like, "Right." He says, "So they're on their way and you'll have to wait." I said, "Yeah, okay, I ain't got nothing to hide. I'll stand here and wait." So walked down towards the gates where he had them chained up. He took the chain off, and by this time the blue lights were coming up the road. The police pulled up, and there was 2 vans and 2 cars, like for 2 of us, right? And so the first copper gets out, and he comes round and he says to me, "Are you the 2 people that were in that building?" And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Right, can I have a word with you?" So he took me over to the van. And the security man of the place, he was standing at the gate, and this other copper came out of one of the cars, and the one that was talking to me says to him, "Will you go and talk to him, make sure everything's all right?" So away they went. So the copper says to me, "So what were you doing in the building then?" I says, "I was in doing a paranormal investigation." You probably don't believe in this kind of thing. A lot of people don't. But I'm a paranormal investigator. I run my own team. I'm on YouTube and whatever, and I do investigations, and I do like abandoned buildings. And he says, "So did you break in here then?" I was like, "No." I said, "I'll hold my hand up." I climbed over the fence. I said, "But I spoke to the security guard and there was an open door." He pointed it out to me and he stopped me and went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." He says, "You spoke to the security guard?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, no, so run this by me." He says, "So he knew that you were in there?" And I said, "Yeah, he let me in." And he went, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" I says, "He let me in." I says, "He even showed me where to go, where the open door was, and he even said to me, 'Check out the basement, it's freaky in there.'" And he says to me, "You are kidding, right?" I went, "No." By this time, the security man and the other copper were coming back out again. The other copper said to the one that was talking to me, "Yeah, everything's fine here." And the copper went, "Actually, everything's not fine." He says, turned to the security man and went, "So you knew that they were in there?" And he went, "Yeah." And I says, well, hold on a minute, hold on. So you let them in, but then you phoned us. And I says, he says, "Yeah." Well, the copper went, "Right, 1 second," turned to me and the daughter and went, "You two, off you go." He says, "Away you go." He says, "Good night, see you later." So we went back to the car. I was telling the mother-in-law who was sitting in the car about it. I says, "Drive out that way on the way out." And we drove out. And the funny thing, that, well, I thought was funny anyway, was the two coppers were standing with a security man like this, giving him a right bollocking for it. Like he literally okayed me to go in, and then it was basically wasting their time. And he obviously had told them a completely different story to what had actually happened. And then whenever I said the real story, instead of the other guy saying that I was lying, and then he then admitted to it.
Yeah, that is what he did was against the law. That is a false report that he gave, and he could have been arrested for that.
Over here, it's only a civil for trespassing, so you can't get lifted for it unless you start getting narky or you're damaging stuff or whatever. Yeah. So they basically they have to let you go, but it's like, you know, he was obviously getting told off by his boss for letting us in. Why you would do that and then phone your boss and say, I've just let people in this building that's dangerous. So he obviously get told off by him. Then he was getting told off by the coppers. I would say he didn't have a job the next morning.
Yeah, I would assume he probably didn't. And if he did, I'd be very surprised. But
and if he's watching
that's cool.
Watching this show, thank you.
Yeah, that would be funny. He watches this later down the
road. If the security man's watching this show, let us know if you're still employed.
Why would you do that? So some security guys are okay, especially in the UK. There's a lot of them that are like fucking dickheads. They're so rude.
Yeah, there is.
Like there's some.
There was another one. There was another one. I'll just quickly say, yeah, I'm not going to mention the location in case the guy's still there because he could get sacked for it. But he was a Muslim fella, and I went to him and asked, "Can I go in?" And he was like, "Well, you're not really allowed. Nobody's really allowed in there because you're on site. I've got to phone the police." And I was like, "Well, you don't have to." I said, "Because technically the fence is there, so I'm not on site yet. I'm beside it." And he was asking me what I did, and I told him paranormal investigating. And because he was Muslim, he said they believe in that. They believe in all the paranormal stuff. And all he said to me was, "But I worry about your daughter because she's small." I says, "But she's 19. I says, "And I'm looking after her anyway." And he literally turned one way, turned the other way, and looked at me and went, "Let me know when you're leaving." So, right afterwards, he was asleep in the hut, locked the door, bye.
So we get to the end of the show. The big question we ask our guest every single week when at least when we're on. So here you go, Lex. I'd like to leave this question to Lex because it's always very interesting what he comes up with. His imagination is quite crazy sometimes. So go ahead, Lex.
And bear in mind, I don't know how I'm going to do it until the show's been on because I just wait until you see what you say, the guest says, and then I roll it off of that. But no, you're right. Time has come for the fateful questions. So, Robin, if that is your real name.
Is it?
I have 2 ways to ask this. So
that's actually interesting. Yeah.
I have 2 ways to ask it, so I'm trying to think of which one's going to be the better one. Okay, cool, got it. Let's say you died for an hour, and then in that span of being dead, you saw the world from an upward view, and you saw this lonely security guard that dicked you over, and so you saw him commit a crime. And then, boom, you're alive again. You're back in your body, but you report that man for the crime. And as a reward,
interesting,
you get given all the money in the world for bringing down this security guard whose only crime was being shit at his job. But you got rewarded all the money in the world. Where would you go to investigate and spend this money?
That's quite an easy question. The Winchester Mystery House.
That's a good one. No one has said that yet, I don't think.
Closely followed by Bobby Mackey's, but honestly, on my bucket list is the Winchester Mystery House.
For
Is it
those
hard
who
to
I'm
get
don't know
into?
that,
fascinated by that place.
Is it hard to
Absolutely
get into?
fascinated.
yeah.
Is it
do you
hard
know-
to get into?
Of course it is. It's the biggest house
Yeah,
on
you
the
need to
planet.
book.
I don't know. I
You
don't.
don't know this?
No, I don't know this one.
There's a film based on it called
Okay.
Winchester, but there's the base of the story goes it was a lady who worked for whose family was the Winchesters who made the Winchester rifles, right? She profited off of the guns.
Okay.
But she was nuts. She said she was being contacted by spirits all the time, and the designs for her house, which for the whole time she was alive, the house was never finished because she was constantly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week having construction done on it. And it was the spirits giving her the plans for the rooms and the houses and the floors. And when you see films have staircases go to nowhere and people are freaked out by it, it's because of this lady. So she has multiple stairwells that lead to nowhere. She had a staircase that does this rather than
Mm,
just goes up. Like Google the Winchester house. It's
I will.
literally
Honestly, check it out on
insane.
YouTube, Brian. It's I'm totally fascinated by it. She actually believed that every single person who had been killed with a Winchester rifle was haunting her,
She
like
used to
Lex
trap them.
said. And
She would trap them
there's
in rooms. She'd build rooms
yeah,
for them.
you'll open the door and there'll be a brick wall in front of you.
Yeah.
It's just honestly, if you see it from above, it's a massive house, massive area.
It looks like a Disneyland attraction from the outside, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah, full of
does.
the towers and stuff. But it's weird. So
Yeah.
she would nail the doors shut because when the room was completed, because she would assume that the spirit of who was killed by the rifle was in their room.
Look at this.
Raymond, I like it.
Hell yeah. Okay.
That's my second place, Bobby Mackey's.
Robin, we have to go to America together. We'll meet up with Brian in
I'll
Canada.
meet you there.
He'll
For
come
sure.
down.
Lex, not a
for
problem.
Sure, for sure.
We'll do
Not
it.
a problem.
For sure.
Because I'd love to do Bobby Mackey's.
Oh, yeah.
Winchester is definitely one I want to go to. I know
And
I know you can do it.
yeah,
Do
and the
allow
one
people
more
in there.
thing I want to say about that as well is that I think was it Elizabeth Winchester he called her?
I think so. Yeah.
I think she actually used to do seances in her bedroom in the house when she was alive because she wanted to get rid of all these spirits. And apparently, if you're investigating that house and you do a seance in the bedroom, more times than enough, she actually appears to watch you.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Sarah
wow.
Winchester, not Elizabeth. Sorry, it's
Sarah, that's it, Sarah Winchester.
That's
Yeah,
so
it's-
cool.
It's literally one of the coolest ghost stories ever because like it's tied to so much stuff. Like first of all,
Yeah.
their insanity of the construction work. Like imagine work being part of that building team. You finish something and then like the next day she tells you to tear it down because there's a new design, and she would do it all the time. So the story of her, the story itself, Jesus Christ, is ridiculous. It's so cool, but the fact it ties into the Winchester rifles and all the murders and all the wars and the killings, and consequence of that, and she carried that personal guilt with her because she was a widow. But yeah, she kind of carried that personal guilt herself, and some would say was deluded into doing this. Some would say it's actually true what she's saying. As a paranormal investigator who's not been there yet, it's hard to make that distinction. But if she was telling the truth and this stuff was happening to her, it is one hell of a haunting, and it's definitely a one-off because I've never heard of another incident like it. Like Mr. Smith and Weston, his family wasn't getting plagued by the spirits of people that his guns killed.
So when I come back to the UK, can we?
But
Can
it's not in the UK. It's in California.
Where is it? Sorry, I thought it was.
No,
Where
it's
is
in
it?
San Jose,
California.
Oh, okay.
It's
I can do
near
that.
Anaheim,
No
isn't
problem.
Yeah,
I thought
so you
it
can-
just by the name. I thought that's what it was.
No,
Winchester.
It's American, but yeah, it's still there. You can buy tickets to go in there. You can get Groupon vouchers. Up to $135. I think it was the last time I looked. But the
Oh,
house
that's
is
nothing.
absolutely insane. I'm trying to find how big it is on here. So
You know what the most
Massive.
expensive place? You know the most expensive place to book, and it's $24,000 a night. Is
Jesus.
Alcatraz?
Alcatraz, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of money. But you know what? that is maybe I have heard of it. Maybe it's just slipping my mind, but it's I don't
For
know.
anybody, in my opinion, for anybody that's a paranormal investigator, when you hear the story about that house and you see pictures of it and videos of it, and you see that, that literally staircases lead to nowhere, and it just grips you. It just, I mean, I've for years now I've been watching stuff on it, and
Wow,
I definitely want to get there.
that's cool. That's cool.
Annoyingly, I want a real team to go there because I have seen a couple of notorious fake channels have gone there,
Yeah.
which I think is disrespectful to Sarah, because she clearly was going through a lot. Like no one spends this much money and wastes their entire life on this if they're making it up. So there has to be some level of truth to it. Like, so she was either fucking insane, or she's generally being haunted. And I think a real team needs to go there and validate this story and see what they get, because the fake ones don't do it justice. And I think it's personally, for me, as someone who is a heavy believer, I think it's disrespectful to her memory. Because if she was going through this turmoil, like, can you imagine how punishing that is, that every day you're being told to tear down your house and rebuild it and different rooms, and you're doing it because of the guilt you're feeling because of your family's wealth coming from the gun trade. Like, there's so much emotion in what she had to deal with, and it's just being mocked at by fake paranormal investigators. So it would be amazing to see some real teams go in there and get the answer, because the movie's really cool. If you haven't seen it, Brian, the film's called Winchester. It came out 2 years ago. It's 2 or 3 years ago.
I will watch it. Will it be on like Netflix or something like that?
Yeah, it was the last time I saw it.
Okay.
But, I think it's Meryl. I think Meryl Streep plays Sarah.
Oh, you know what? I think I've heard of that. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Okay, I'll give it a watch. But that's it, Robin. You did amazing. You're a big talker. I'm surprised. I rarely get to see you talk.
There's a new talk.
Oh, you see that this is a thing.
Yeah, you got a lot to say. You and AJ have to come together and say, AJ, buddy, give me 20 minutes.
Wait until this Parapost thing really takes off. I'm telling you. You'll be wanting to get me out the door as soon as you got me in.
No, but Parapost Network Central is doing extremely well. People don't know. We hit 2,200 this week after almost just about 3 months. And it's doing extremely, extremely well. And one of the reasons is because of talking with the source. And again, guys, links are below. So go over and give follow to Mr. Robin here. And go over and follow AJ as well. And I believe we lost Robin because he moved his phone. Go back to where you were. So, but I definitely want to thank Robin for coming on the show today. I think he's gone, and I'm looking at the signal. Yeah, he's gone. So I just want to say thank you to Robin for coming on today's show. Again, guys, the links are below. Go over and follow them. They're great guys. They got a great show. And go over and give a follow to YouTube and check out some of his videos as well. So that's it, Lex. That's the show. We went well over our time. But hey,
it's fine.
You know what? But hey, sometimes that happens, and we have to do what we have to do. And I never said at the beginning of the show, I want to thank our sponsors, DNTV. I want to thank Drew and Philip, and I can't remember his brother's name, and I apologize for that. But they're also on Parapost Network Central, so you want to give them a check. And go over to DNTV and give them a like or follow. They do a lot of wonderful things. And if you're into the Wiccans and the Wiccas and stuff like that, you definitely want to check them out. Drew is a medium, and he actually has a school on if you want to study Wicca and stuff like that. But I found out yesterday I might be pronouncing it wrong. It might be Wick-sha, I believe it's actually pronounced. But anyways, I learned that yesterday from a show I was watching yesterday. But anyways, I want to thank everybody that came in the show today. Yes, we did go a little bit over time, but sometimes it's necessary. Robin had a lot to say. I think he got it all out of his system because he has been able to say very much on talking with the source.
Amazing.
So he got it all out today. But yeah, so this week, this Thursday, watch Paranormal Static PD Region with Brian and Robert. They're going to be releasing something, and it's really, really super cool. And we have another great show next week. We do have a what is next week's date? Is the 21st or 22nd?
The 15th.
15?
Yeah, it's only the
Okay.
8th today.
Okay, so it's the following week. We have a great guest. It's coming on. They're a fairly new group. So we will have a guest for next week for sure. And we always do. I always come through with a guest. Right, Lex?
You do. You pull them out of your ass. I don't know how you do it sometimes.
But something we're talking a lot more recently and within the last month or two. If you can go over to our YouTube channel with Through the Lens with Brian and Lex and go give a like and a follow and a subscribe or whatever you can do, it's free. So you don't have to worry about paying for anything. And also, if you want to go over to Parapost Network, the app, you can download it through iOS or Android. Here's Robin. Let's say our proper goodbyes to Robin. We're going to say our proper goodbyes.
I don't know what happened. It just froze, now all of a sudden it went off.
Yeah. So we wanted to say thank you for coming on today's show. We'll definitely see you in the middle of the week on Wednesday.
Yes.
And but again, thank you for coming on today's show. We really, really
Not a
appreciate
problem.
it. And we'll get you on again sometime down the road with you and AJ both. And hopefully
Not a
AJ's
problem.
Hopefully AJ's fixed everything that he's going through right now, and I'm sure he will.
Hopefully,
But
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great rest of the night. What time is it there? 10:30?
10:38.
It's 10:40. Yeah, 10:40.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, buddy. We'll talk soon. Okay.
No problem. I'll see you Wednesday night.
Yep. See ya.
Take care, bud.
So yeah, if you want to download the app through iOS or Android, you can just fill out your account information, and you've made an account. It's free, and you can go check out what everybody else is doing. And honestly, in the last 3 weeks, it's been growing really, really nicely, and so it's getting bigger and better. And the great thing is, and I never say this, guess what, guys? It's drama free. There's no drama. None. People go in there for the right reasons. So you definitely want to check it out. So you definitely want to check it out and post your pics, post your videos, connect your YouTube to Parapost. So once you connect it, every time you upload a video, it automatically uploads to Parapost. So it's a great site and it's really growing nicely. And I'm really, really proud of it. And I'm glad people are liking it. And something that was crazy this week, that I thought was really, really cool, but a little bit crazy at the same time. Mr. Brian Horton from PD Region has now got the ghost on his arm.
Oh, you got it done, did he?
He did get it done.
Nice.
And Robert's doing it this week.
Nice.
And, it just shows the support. And those guys have been great. So I want to say my goodbyes, and we'll definitely see you next week. And that's it for me.
Lovely. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who came in the chat today, and a huge thank you to Raymond for making me laugh like an idiot halfway through with his stupid objection hearsay comment. That was fucking hilarious.
Oh, that's good.
So we're looking forward to being back next week. Thank you again to Talking with a Source and in particular Robin. And once again, just everyone please think of his family during this tough time, and hopefully we'll get them back on in the future. And as well as AJ, because I like talking to him too. But thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Peace.